What's going on, guys? We're here on another episode of Just Drive Cars and Life. I'm your host, Naveed. We got Max here, and on the other side, and Tucson, Arizona. We got Steven in the house. How you doing, Steven?
What's up, guys? Good.
Yep.
How are you guys doing? How's Dallas?
Hot, steamy.
It's hot here too.
Yeah, no.
In the desert.
This has probably been one of the hottest summers that I've ever been a part of, probably in all of my years in Texas or in Dallas. So all the other times, it wasn't as hot as this one. It's like one of those post-COVID summer sessions where it's just extremely hot.
What's this world coming to?
Yeah, basically. We're going to go ahead and get into it. So tell us about Park Up Front. Where to start?
Where do we start? Yeah, so I mean, to give you a little, I guess, overview, history of Park Up Front. So Max von Brand, not this Max, but we call him Big Max. He's kind of the Papa Bear. This is Baby Bear Max.
Mm-hmm.
Max and I, we founded a Lamborghini Club of Dallas about 8 years ago, with a few other individuals, and yeah, we were just going to Cars and Coffee, Dallas, the OG event, and running the club, and kind of with all the Lamborghini guys and creating that little community. And then just kind of one day it popped in my head. I was always in charge of planning dinners for the Lamborghini Club. So I think that weekend we were going to maybe Del Frisco's or Bob's, can't remember, but just a pain in the ass because a lot of these guys, they wanted to park up front. They wanted to park their own cars. They would always call me and be like, hey, does the valet know we're coming? Do we have to give our keys to the valet? I'm just like, come on, guys, we're just going to dinner. It'll be fine. But I always have to call the manager at the restaurant. I'd have to call a valet, get everything set up ahead of time. So I just had this random idea. I was like, man, it'd be so cool if there was like open table. You know how you can reserve a table inside the restaurant for when you dine. It'd be kind of cool if there was some sort of an app that you could reserve a spot up front for your car if you cared about that type of thing with the valet. So that's kind of where Park Up Front came into sort of an idea. And we shopped the idea around. We went to a few development companies around Dallas, Austin, a couple in California, thinking, hey, would it be a cool idea to create like a reservation system or an app for people with their cars at these clubs or restaurants that wanted these cars for the curb appeal to park up front. And the idea was pretty well received from a couple of these shops, but the price was like $200,000, $300,000. Bottle Rocket in Dallas quoted us $500,000 to build an app, and we're like, yeah, it's not worth it. And then Code Authority, who was right off the tollway, we met with Jason, their president. He loved the idea, and he said, hey guys, there's actually like a Shark Tank type of seed accelerating event called Code Launch that's coming up in a few months. You guys should enter into our seed accelerator program with your ideas. We think you have a good chance of maybe winning, and if you win, we'll actually do an equity build, partner build for the app. So we thought, you know what, before we start trying to raise a lot of money or put our own money into building it, let's give this a shot. So we had to really hit the ground running, create a pitch deck. It really came from an idea to like, wow, we need to get our crap together and actually build a business model around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we entered Code Authority or Code Launch. There was like 400 applicants, and we made it to the final, I guess, like the top 32, and then from there it was the top 16 and top 8, and then we made the final 4, which was an actual, the actual Code Launch event at Dr. Pepper Arena at the time in Frisco, and we had to go on stage and in front of a panel of judges and an audience, and Park Up Front Max actually won the whole competition, which is really cool. And so we ended up from then, about 6 months later, had an app built, and it was solely just to reserve a spot with valet. And we had about maybe 40, 50 restaurants, mainly in Dallas, a few in Austin on board. Pretty much all the clubs and all the steakhouses had the app, and we were with the valet, and we had the notorious gold cones. So when you had your reservation, would have your spot waiting for you. The valet would greet you by name. They knew your car. They knew if you like to self-park. A lot of the places had deals like Citizen had, if you show your park in front reservation, you get to skip the line at the club. Del Frisco's had like free appetizer. So it was really cool, and that was kind of the whole idea for the first year or two. And then we quickly realized as we tried to expand in other markets, it was really hard because now we're relying on these 18, 19-year-old valet attendees to really give a good experience to the user, and we weren't there in person to really train them. And so we quickly realized it wasn't that scalable, and that's when we kind of pivoted toward, hey, you know what, people are really wanting these events, and it's more of a community driven. So that's
Right.
where Park Front, as we know it, was sort of born
Gotcha.
from that. Yep.
Copy that. And then what was the biggest challenge in all of that though?
With the valet or the rebranding, or
Both. Both.
the biggest challenge in the valet was the turnover in valet was, I mean, you had these guys and girls that were just there for the summer break.
Mm-hmm.
Other valet, they were there for a month, and we would train them, and then they would leave, and the person taking over wouldn't be trained. So we had to retrain the new,
I would say also like getting the valet to use it and check the app, because we had Stephen and Max created another app for the valet.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to have, go on there and see that, hey, John Doe's coming at 7 o'clock to Del Frisco's,
Mm-hmm.
and they would miss that. So these cars would roll up and they're like, hey, we checked it out with the Park in Front app, and next thing you know, that spot up front was already taken. So it was just like having to be consistent was, I think, one of the most difficult parts, and then trying to duplicate that also.
And I think it would work. I mean, I think the idea works as a concept. It's just what we realized was there were a few like valet companies that implemented it from the top down. And so if they had an turnover and staff, we relied, we counted on the managers to actually let the new staff know, and part of their training, to use the app. So there was probably like out of 50 accounts, there was maybe half of them that really worked it the right way. Lone Star was one of the valet companies we used. Tyler Lippy, who's on our staff now, we met him because he was working with Lone Star, and so he was one of the managers that made sure that everybody used it the right way. So there were those accounts; it worked perfect. It was just trying to get other accounts and different valet companies that weren't, as eager to train their staff. So I know it works if it's done the right way. And we've actually had people reach out to us recently saying, hey, bring that back, and a couple other valet companies saying, hey, we'd love to use it. And we can always turn that on. It's still there. It's just invisible. So, I mean, we might, who knows?
Maybe like implement it from like the top up instead of from the bottom up.
Yeah, exactly.
We kind of went backwards a bit, for sure.
I think what's really unique about the Park Up Front app as well is, like you said, not only is it the availability, but it's the visibility to whatever city that you're in. And that I think right now, the fact that you guys are trying to expand as much as you can to other cities within the other, states, it's a lot. You're talking about 50 states, multiple cities, and right now, I think if I'm not mistaken, you guys have covered Arizona, Texas, and Florida for the most part in terms of that branding, or I guess rebranding, for all the folks who come to the car shows, or is there more to that?
So as far as the app and everything, we're worldwide.
Right.
We have different countries that, there's users using the app. As far as like events and everything, we're going to New York right now.
Mm-hmm.
So New York, Texas area, and in the Phoenix area is what we're aiming for, and then take it from there. But mostly our focus right now is like New York and like the Fort Lauderdale area.
I see. Yeah.
As far as outside of Texas.
I see. Gotcha. And do you guys get different types of clientele within Park Up Front in terms of how you guys are hosting these events?
So yeah, it's crazy. Like different states that you go to, it's like one state will be so big in like BMW, like the presence of like, BMWs in New York is 5 times the size than it is like here in Texas.
Right.
And like they're more passionate about it. But like here in Texas, I feel like the exotic is, you know, where it's at, right? Everyone loves seeing the Ferraris and the Lambos, but in New York, BMW, like people's view of BMWs is what Texas view of exotics is, right?
Yeah.
So their appreciation for that is much higher.
Right. Yeah.
Which is great for us because like Park Up Front, I think, you know, when Steven and Max did the whole conversion from a valet app into a social media platform for everyone, our goal was to reach out to every single individual. So whether, you know, you have a BMW, a Honda, you know, a Subaru, our goal is with this app is we want everyone to feel appreciated and we want everyone to be connected. So it's like someone who has a Subaru loves their car just as much as someone who has a brand new, you know, SF90 or a brand new Huracan. And I think with what Steven and Max created, that's the ultimate goal. Is just bringing one and one together.
Yeah, I think the fact that you go to these car shows, you know, you see a variation of cars, you know, and it's like from the most expensive car to the most cheapest car, but yet everybody treats it like a brand new car to them, you know, because ideas and inspirations just come out of nowhere. Like ever since Steve has come to Dallas, Steve POV, you know, he brought that whole entire JDM world with him from Tokyo all the way to Dallas, and now the JDM world is exploding in the state of Texas, primarily here in Dallas, you know. And then like the McLaren community, you know, British company, they're expanding as much as they can. When I was up in Chicago, then I met Arnie, the guy that did the Cannonball Run, that hold the record. You know, his specialty is in McLarens, you know. And I'm like, well, what's the most biggest challenge that you have? He said, I don't have a McLaren specialist in the country. So every single time they want to do repairs for McLaren, they literally have to send it all the way back to the UK, or they have to send someone from the UK to here and do the work. But the idea of like there's people around here that have the possibility to do that, I think that's what's awesome, you know. So that I can appreciate about Park Up Front. But not only your guys' car shows is going up, but your rallies. You know, people like I do my rallies through you guys. I do my cruises through your guys. So I appreciate the support in that. But it's like you said, at the end of the day, we're trying to get everybody to come over, everybody to, you know, share their stories. There's a lot of different egos as well. So I think that's the drama reality part of it. But still, you know, it still allows us to come back, you know.
I think that's what, to me, that's the biggest value that Park Front has, is just bringing that visibility and kind of bringing people together. Like before Park Front existed, you know, when I first got in the car scene in Dallas, I mean, the only really organized event, like on a monthly basis, was Cars and Coffee at a BMW dealership off the tollway. And I remember going there, and there wasn't really a system. It was kind of like, okay, the gates open at 7 or 6:30, but you know, you had to, it doesn't matter if you had a Lamborghini or a Toyota or a truck. I mean, you were waiting in line around that corner.
I remember people were telling me they would get there at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
just to wait there. And then I would get pissed off because, you know, even if I was in like a Lamborghini, I would be waiting, and then all of a sudden you would have like more Lamborghinis or McLarens. These guys they would go and cut the line and get in.
Right.
And then if you're in the back of the line, you wait for 2 hours. Once the lot was full, it was full.
Yeah.
And so originally we went to, before we even created the new rebranding, we went to the people at Cars and Coffee Dallas, the original one at BMW, and said, "Hey guys, we have this platform. We're starting to build the ability to do reservations not only for restaurants and clubs, but for car events. We'd like to implement it with Cars and Coffee because we think, number one, people don't have to wait in line anymore. They can just make the reservation. Doesn't matter what car they have, and they know that their spot's good, and they can just go and they can check in. If you're charging money for a charity event, for a Christmas event, run it through the app. You don't have to collect cash at the gate and just back up the line, and it takes longer to get in. Plus, like as an event, provider, you have access to see who's coming, and you can rearrange the lot, know how many BMWs are coming, and you can kind of organize it that way than before. And they said no. They said no. They're old school. They like doing it the way they like doing it. They basically said take a hike. And we're like, okay, you know, we weren't going to charge them money or anything. It was just better for the community. And we said, you know what? Right after that phone call, we got a call from the GM and the owner from Lava Cantina and said, hey, we see you guys are at our restaurant bringing cars to our shows. How would you like to do a show and use our spot on a Saturday?
Right.
And we're like, crazy timing, let's do it. And then that's where Cars and Cantina came from. And then shortly after that, Cars and Coffee went away. And then Cars and Cantina became the big, event of the first Saturday of the month. But we tried with Cars and Coffee Dallas originally to say, hey, let's use the app to make your event better.
Well,
And
at the end of the day, though, something went down obviously with Cars and Coffee over at Dallas, to where they couldn't even host it anymore. They did only a yearly thing with their Christmas event. But Cars and Coffee South Lake by itself, that's a big event, and I
that's
think,
huge,
Yeah, that's massive. They're doing a great job out there. And
yeah,
so
I mean,
we're happy to be partners with them. I remember we sat down with Steve Senior and Steve Junior, the Whalens, and they first started the event. I think Steve Junior was only like 16 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Max and I met him, I think at Gloria's. We had lunch and we said, hey, he had this idea for this event. And we said, hey, let's do it. We'll help you guys out and let's kind of partner up on this. And Steve Junior's done an amazing, and Senior too, they've done an amazing job growing it. And we're happy to.
It's not an easy job.
It's not. And I think, it's just we like to show it as like a product or something of like what we can do and how we can basically do this nationwide and eventually worldwide. Basically just bring multiple events, bring the car community together. I think it shows that anyone can do it. I mean, Steve's 16 years old and he was driven and he created something out of nothing, and we're happy to help and be there, support. And hopefully we can do that, in different cities and different states too.
I mean, just covering Texas by itself, I think it's just a challenge, So many different guys. I mean, Houston, they're all about drag racing.
Yeah.
Dallas is all about showboating. Austin is like, I'm going to the track. San Antonio's like, I don't know where to go. So it's like,
it's crazy. San Antonio has a huge Cars and Coffee presence. They do like a 400 car show out there with Cars and Coffee.
Wow.
So they've been under the radar and everything, and we've been Stephen, Max, and I have been working with them to hopefully partner up with them. But they're doing really well. I think Austin, I would say, is the most different crowd that I've seen. I mean, Coffee and Cars in Houston, they do pretty well, but in Austin, there's really nothing. And I know Coda is starting to bring back something, but their scene there is different. It's like their muscle presence compared to any, from events that I've been to, from exotics and everything, is crazy. Like the whole Mopar, shout out the Mopar community out there. It is ridiculous. They take over, but when they come like 100, 150 cars deep, and they just take over an event. And it's cool, but I just never seen it. It's like, the exotic scene here.
Yeah, exactly. And even some of the folks that live out in Killeen, they'd rather go to Austin versus Dallas for some reason, for their car shows. I know some of the folks out there, they host their rallies from there. But the Houston Savage Rally team, their rallies, when they come to Dallas, you could definitely tell, just from a different city within a state, that their presence is completely different than ours. But like I said, I think what I enjoy about ours is how we all know each other, and it could be from anything, hey, does your kid want a job? I'll hire him. Hey, is somebody else trying to, inspire themselves with somebody else's car or ideas? They're all right there in front of your eyes, so that's what this whole car community does for us, for sure.
I think that's what makes Dallas community special, is because it's not fragmented anymore. You go to other communities and there's a big car scene, but it's fragmented because
Absolutely.
They all have their little bubbles and they're all using Facebook or word of mouth, their car clubs. And it's hard to meet other people because you see the same people at the same event, because that's your little bubble. But with Park-A-Front in Dallas as a whole, it's like you're seeing all the events, and so you get to go try different
ones.
Exactly.
It makes your life so much, convenient and easier, because like you said, for example, if as worldwide as it is, but let's say I fly into, I don't know, Boise, Idaho, and I look at the Park-A-Front ad and I hit Boise, it'll tell me right there that hey, there's a car event. But if I go on Facebook, like I have to search for a car club. I have to search on what days they go there.
And then you gotta join, and then you gotta answer this like questionnaire,
Yeah,
like,
and it's
hey,
like,
why do you
oh
qualify
my
to join
God.
this Facebook
Yeah.
group
So
or something
unless you
like
get
that?
really lucky to where you're driving throughout the city and you see a car show, then you're like, oh, let me just pull up real quick. But it's like you said, it's so awesome that you get to go in the park up front and you can see whatever events that you want to join, and you're like, hey, I can actually plan for this. You know, I've had people that were like, oh crap, I didn't know your cruise was going on, so no, I'll cancel, like, for example, the show and I'll go to this cruise, or vice versa, you know. So it's like the availability makes life so much easier, you know. So I could definitely appreciate that from Park Up Front for sure.
And it's cool because we met like Floyd Ragland. He runs Supercar Saturdays in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge event. He's huge in the car scene there. I met him through Park Up Front because they had a big tsunami, I think, like 4 or 5 years ago in Miami, and he was trying
Tsunami
to
or
dodge town.
hurricane?
He came to Dallas, and he was trying to like, what's going on in the car scene. He had Park Up Front, and he noticed that we were running the Park Place course or whatever. And so he reached out to us with the app and was like, hey, my name's Floyd. I'm in town from Miami. I see this event. Like, I have nothing else to do. I want to come to your event. I met him, and we've been friends ever since. Now we're talking about doing some stuff in Miami. He's bringing an event to Texas, a big event. And he wants to partner up with Park Up Front. And, you know, just guys like that, like Daniel Mack, you know, I've seen his videos. He got kicked out
Yeah,
of Park.
that guy.
He came to Highland Park.
Oh, man.
Content in Highland Park.
I know.
Cease and desist order.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, well, crap, I need to get more content. He was on the Park Up Front app. And so he reached out to us and said, hey, do you mind if I come to your events to get my content? And that's how we became friends over the last year and a half, by him coming to the events. We've done a lot of stuff with him.
I mean, his idea is absolutely nuts, though. The guy just goes up to somebody and say, hey, what do you do for a living? You know,
I saw those blooper videos. The people just ignored him. Oh, that was classic. Or the one where he scared that lady.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Those are the best ones. The ones
Those are the best ones. Where like
that aren't staged. The ones that
No,
are
yeah.
actually like giving real reactions. People love that.
But even the one with the actors, you know what I mean? Like even
Yeah, like celebrities. Yeah.
right. It's
Even though they're
just
staged,
nuts.
still,
Right.
it's still cool to see, you know, behind the scenes. And,
oh yeah, the Fast and Furious one that he did
Yeah,
was awesome.
I mean, I could credit to Daniel Mack, like how he gets the celebrities, you know, or how many podcasts is he gonna? I'm sitting here busting my tail, you know, trying to get with Tanner Powell and Rob Ferretti and Arnie and Steve POV, but this guy, he can go to anybody. They're
Park
like,
Up Front.
Park Up Front. So it's just like,
no, they're
Like I s-
calling him saying, hey, do you want us to fly you to
Right.
Abu Dhabi or to Vegas? And
Yeah.
We'll pay you and put you in the penthouse and do bottle service, and you can bring a friend. You know,
I
it's
mean, he's
like,
living the dream. How old is he? Like 21, 22?
yeah, he lived right down the street here.
How old is
He
Daniel?
lived here in Uptown. Because I used to see him every once in a while here in Uptown, and man, it's just
How old is he? 21, 22,
no, he's at 20, I think 23.
23?
yeah. So I mean, the knock on wood, you know, good for him, and I hope it continues. But I'm trying to figure out what his next.
I was
idea
just
is
trying to
gonna
make it
be.
through college. I was eating ramen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh,
28-cent ramen. He's over here, bottle service, steak dinners,
oh gosh, it was nonstop for him. But hey, man's got
hanging out with OnlyFans chicks. He's living the dream.
basically.
Yeah.
So, what is the next challenge for Park Up Front, though? I mean, you guys want to go worldwide, but what is the next challenge?
So I think that's where Max, you know, this Max comes in. We really tasked him with, and he's taken on the responsibility to really help expand. You know, with Park Up Front, the best way for us to expand is through events. And so, you know, we're never going to be able to compete with like the Instagrams or TikToks. I mean, we're social media, but we're not, hey, that's the place you're going to go to share content or video. It's more of, this is where we're going to connect. We're going to go see what's going on in our city. We're going to see what events are going on. We can, you know, the person we met with the whatever vehicle, I can go look them up on the app by their vehicle and reach out to them and connect. We talked about a job, or we talked about doing a photo shoot. That's where Park Up Front, that's where we get kind of the beef, the juice, if you will, that drives the community. So yeah, Max is really taking on the task to really focus on events and kind of doing more field ups.
Yeah, I mean,
coffee events.
that's just where we see most traction. So it's just like where do we see, more users using the app? Where do we see a lot of the traction? Like, it's crazy, like Instagram, right? Where do people see us a lot and everything like that? It's through events. So, if you're on the explore page on Instagram and you're a huge car fanatic and your explore page is just all cars, you're going to see a Cars and Cantina event, or you're going to see a Fueled Up. So basically, I think our next step is just doing events in every city. I mean, a product of that would be is Cars and Coffee, right? I mean, Cars and Coffee took over the nation once upon a time, and that's what they did. And so we're not following the footsteps. I think we're just a modern version of it, but with a platform to tie in the whole car community.
Exactly.
And then having rallies and everything like that is just a bonus to where it's just like events, but it's like more it's a close knit of like events.
How I see Parker from exactly what both of what you guys are saying in terms of like, hey, like we just want to get everybody closer. We just want to get, the cars to show up. How many times have we thought about like, hey, I really want to see a Ford GT in person, from the old school to the new school. Like, oh my God, it's here in Dallas. Like, I don't have to fly to Cali to go see it, or the Bugatti Veyrons and the Chiron's are coming over here in Dallas. You're like, oh my gosh, like I can see the Bugattis, I mean, Tim, has his whole entire, collection, and he brings it to the car shows. But even at that, it could be the smallest thing, like from Mini Coopers, like those old school Mini Coopers that used to be in the Italian job. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's here in person. LS swap cars, like it's just one thing after another.
And like, I think give credit to the city of Dallas just because, I don't know how it was when you guys started Lamborghini Dallas, but I feel like the car community has, just grown, especially the exotic car community. And you just never know what's out there. It's funny because was it like 3 weeks ago? A buddy of mine, he lost something, and we were driving around looking for it. And we were driving, we see these guys detailing a car, and in that street where we were looking for that thing, we saw a Speedtail, and we're like, what's the chances? This guy he had 2 Rolls Royces out there, and like inside his garage is just this Speedtail is like just hanging in there. And who would have ever thought, in Dallas that would be there?
Or if you drive even in the outskirts of the country, like you'll see like guys have like different type of colors. Like for example, BMWs. Like I see a lot of BMWs when I drive around the countries, or if I'm in the Austin area. Like I think a couple of times, like I saw different types of colors with like GT500s, and you're like, I haven't seen this in Dallas, and to what Max was saying, like, yeah, you could go to, I don't know, Houston, and you could see 3 or 4 Bugattis sitting over there. I'm like, well, there's only 2 in Dallas. There's like 4 over here. What's going on? So that's what makes it really unique in that perspective. But like you said, there's just so many cars here in Dallas that we just don't know about, or we haven't seen them, or they haven't figured out if there's, a community like this that exists. But I think what really helped out this multi community get stronger and better is actually the pandemic. I think that people didn't want to be in their houses anymore. They actually wanted to get out. And so, and since the traffic was decreasing, it gave the guys the confidence to bring their show cars out, or their regular cars out, because there's not a whole lot of traffic. I don't have to worry about rock chips. I don't have to worry about getting in accidents. So I think that aspect really helped out to get more exposure. So for the cruises, like I said, my first cruise that I ran, I had over 80 cars in a cruise. And I'm just like, this is just way too much. And these people are like, dude,
you got great feedback from that cruise too. A lot of people love that.
Yeah, cruise. It was nuts, but now I just went from 80 to 50 to 40 to 30. Now I'm just trying to make it down to 20.
Everyone's just like getting back into the role of life.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's going back into normal. So, everybody's got to share. So,
or people just don't want to drive their cars with these gas prices. One of the two, whatever.
Yeah.
But
well, it's been fun so far,
No, I think we're glad. I think one thing, like, we're just, what we try to do, one is make sure we keep the brand and the name like high, but also just let people know, like, a lot of people think we're a car club, and I think, we we want to let the car clubs know, like, we're just a platform where you guys can showcase what you guys do. Obviously, you know, we don't condone reckless behavior or anything like that, or street racing or anything, but you know, what we condone is just uploading your car club, you know, downloading the app, showcasing the 4 or 5 cars you have. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, people just like to see, like, you know, if there's a Audi S4, that's a 2001, for example, people want to see it. We encourage people to download the app, showcase your garage. I mean, what Steven and Max did and how they designed with the development team, I mean, countless hours to create a garage where, you know, it's sexy, it's cool. And, you know, we want people to, you know, use the app. We don't want people to use Instagram or Facebook. Like, you know, use something that's, you know, for you guys. And
But you guys can, you guys not only have created that, but the fact that you can actually showcase the event that you're going to through Instagram. I think that's really cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll figure out for Facebook, for Twitter, for anything, because it's a social media platform at the end of the day, you know. But the ideas in terms of what else can we add to make it better or to make it more responsive in the car community, I think that's going to be another challenge for you guys. But with the way that your guys are going, I don't think it's going to take that long. It's just a matter of the type of feedback that you guys get from the community and to see if it works. So
that's kind of where we are right now. Is people always ask, like, what's next, and you know, my answer is like, I don't know. Like, we're flexible. We have our ears open. We're always like listening to feedback, and if the community is saying, hey, we need this extra feature for the events page, then that's our next move. Like, we're just constantly evolving, and you know, nothing's static. So like right now we're focusing on, we get a lot of feedback. We're focusing on beefing up the event features on the app. So, you know, different types of embedded chats within the events, more shareable features for you know, Facebook, Instagram. Really trying to give like the event coordinators more tools to use. So a bigger platform for them. So to us, like if we talk to an event, somebody wants to put on a rally, it's saying, hey, not only, you know, can you reach the people that are in your club, but if you go on Parkfront, now you can promote it to everybody in your city. And every time somebody registers, you get the car they're bringing. You can take payment. They sign a waiver, a liability waiver right there in the app. And they can share, and you also can share their reservation on your Instagram page. So it gets that, you know, that social sharing is all embedded in there. So
it's convenience. It's the convenience.
It's free marketing.
Yeah. I think, you know, that's what the 21st century is, right? How can we make it more convenient for people? And I think we created a platform for event organizers where, you know, we've done all the work for you. You just promote and share.
So we understood that Steve started basically with Lamborghini of Dallas. Now you're a part of the team. Well, how long have you been part of the team?
So they started, they won co-launch in 2016. I joined late 2017.
Okay.
So I came on like August. I remember I came back from a bachelor party, and I want to say it was 18 or 19, but I saw Chris Bearden, who's one of the partners of Parkfront. He posted something about sales. I was like, you know, I DM'd him. I went to a lot of his venues and was a degenerate, but hit him up, and then I met Max and Steven at a Starbucks right when I got back from Vegas, and I interviewed with them and everything like that, and everything went well. I mean, I'm here right now, but they brought me on. We started doing the whole valet thing, bring restaurants on board, talk to them, incentivize them and everything on why they should use the app. And oh my God, it was a struggle. I mean, it was it was one of the hardest things, but it was, you know, it was well worth it. I mean, it paid off today. But yeah, so, you know, kicked on board with them. Didn't really have a vision. I was just like, all right, cool, it's another job. We'll see how it goes, where it goes. I say, 4 years later, here we are. I think credit to them, you know, the whole Parkfront team for completely revamping the app. And I mean, that's what you have to do today, is just adapt in certain circumstances. And that's what they did. And, you know, the significant growth we have. It's so cool to see. I mean, who would have ever thought, we go from like 100 people using this Valley
Right.
app to
Right.
over 60, over 100,000
Right.
users on the app.
And you've been part of the, you were part of the, and still part of the Triple Crown rallies, right?
Yeah.
So fill me in on the Triple Crown rally, like the whole idea and why. Did we have a lot of folks that have different ideas in terms of like, hey, you should add this, you should do this. Like, how did it start? How did you guys, manage to make it better? What were some changes? Like,
So Triple Crown we did, I want to say 3 years ago. COVID years kind of put a thump in it, but so we did Bull Run with Andy Duncan, and he was the original founder of Bull Run, and we did that. We did Dallas all the way to Miami, and it was one of the most fun I've had on a rally until Triple Crown came along, and still we do Bull Run, and it's a great time. But we did that, and then we kind of did our own thing, but we did within Texas. So Bull Run was more nationwide. So we did Dallas, Memphis, Nashville, Virginia. I want to say it was Hot Spring, Virginia. There's a haunted hotel there. I recommend no one go. And then we took a train overnight from there all the way to Orlando and drove down to Miami, and that's where we ended. But we did that, and it was just such a great time. And Max kind of put something together. That's where Triple Crown kind of came into thought. Him and Chris planned something, and came. I think Chris, Max, and Steven, put something together where it was just in state. I think they did Dallas, Austin, Houston, and we got great feedback. We started off with like 20 cars, I want to say, and then after that, it just started growing. And this past one, the third leg that we did this year, we did about 45 cars, and I mean, it's always a great time. It's crazy to see, like, you think events build families. Like once you do a 3-day rally with people, like they just, they're like best friends. I mean, you think you pull up to an event and you think it's that person, there's John driving the car, but it's Ryan that's driving the car. And then Ryan's driving John's car, and he's like, yeah, I just have it for the month.
All the switches.
All the switches.
But
so they just trust each other, but they just met on the rally. So
exactly. No,
it's something we built.
I think you hit the spot there too, in terms of like not just your guys' rallies, but other people's rallies that are going through Park Up Front.
Yeah.
It's just a different community. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different
For sure.
approach.
We try to so with the rallies, I guess we try to keep it spicy. I mean, it's like, we're doing our poker run. There's a lot of people that are doing different, runs and rallies that are on the app. And, they think, oh, hey, we're not copying you guys. I mean, everyone's doing it.
Right.
And we encourage people to add it. We just have our own style to it, right? So when we do something, there's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a certain standard that we keep ourselves when it comes to rallies. But we encourage other people, that's why there's the app. Like, create your own stuff, have your own style to things, as we do. And we just generally want to keep people, using the app, but we also want people to like have fun in Dallas and hopefully in other, cities and states and everything like that.
No, it's like you said, and then the journey, from the startup point, having breakfast, like everybody's just like waking up, like, oh my God, we're about to drive for like 3 days, close to what? How many miles do you guys drive in those like 3 days? It's like 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, maybe.
How far is like Dallas to Austin? It's about
Dallas to Austin,
like
maybe
200.
like 300, 400 miles.
400 miles. So yeah, roughly around like 800 to 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
But
the fact that y'all are all together makes life a lot
yeah.
more easier for sure.
Safe at all times. It's not a race. But no, I think that's just the cool part. It's like everyone gets to wake up and it's just like, it's not like, oh, like I have to drive to Austin or I have to drive to said place. Like, it's all right. Like, we don't tell where people, like, we don't tell them where they're going in the beginning. So we keep it a whole mystery on the rally. So the day of, Max or Chris will throw it in the chat, hey, this is the next location or something like that, or gas checkpoint. And and that's what we're doing with Poker Run. So we announced 2 days ago that we're doing Poker Run. 2 days ago? What day is it? Today's Monday. So we announced last night that we're doing Poker Run. Well, we made it live. We made the announcement about 2 weeks ago that Poker Run's coming. Park in Front's going to be doing its own Poker Run, and that's how we're doing it. Like, you know, even though
is it your guys' first time doing the poker run?
it's the first one. So it's gonna be fun. You know,
Is it in September?
September 24th.
Okay. If I'm off, I'll just see if I
Hey, you
can join it or
gotta
not.
definitely check it out. Especially whoever's listening to the podcast. It's gonna be, it's fun, all inclusive. Dallas, even though it's to Choctaw, it's only like a 30-minute drive. We made it spread out where it's, you know, the lunch stop, amazing. The drive there is scenic. It's fun, and it's gonna be. It's not for that tight knit group, you know. It's open to everyone, even as Triple Crown is. But you know, price is affordable and everything like that as well. Because it's one night, but breakfast, lunch, dinner.
And you guys this year already did the Make-A-Wish Foundation event?
Yeah, so we did the Make-A-Wish. You know, the North Texas Make-A-Wish did a great job holding an event. Tyler Rippey was in charge of that, and shout out Michael Gallup and Micah Parsons for, you know,
showing up. Yeah, and then you guys also did what was it? The food run rally.
Restaurant rally.
The restaurant rally?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But you guys also did a food charity rally as well.
Yeah, so that I want to say was Lamborghini Club Dallas. Don't hold me to it.
That's
but
right.
Those guys
they all
partnered
did.
up. Yeah, they did something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I did the Buc-ee's rally last year. The money went to charity.
Yeah.
I did majority of my cruises that I were doing. Part of what they were paying was going to the cruises. So yeah, so since there's more than what you're spending for. You know, what you're getting the quality out of it, and you know everybody has their own opinions in terms of what they want to spend their money on and what they want to save on. And I get that. Some of those rallies they're for you, and some of them they're not.
No.
You know, it is what it is. You know?
But I do encourage everyone to do an overnight rally. Like
overnight rallies, they're crazy.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
I didn't even know till I got into Parker Front what a rally was.
Right.
I wasn't huge in the car scene, but when I did that rally with Bull Run and then Triple Crown, oh my God, it's the most fun. I think I'd rather do that than like travel like with a bunch of my buddies to like overseas or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like if we could all just get in the car and do like rallies, like it's so much fun. And
it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss though.
Yeah.
It's a hit or miss.
Depends what goes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember my first rally that I did was with you guys, through you guys, the North Texas rally, and I ended up getting like 35 cars, and we literally did an overnight. But some of the guys wanted hotels. Some of the guys had family. I ended up renting a cabin out in Kyle, Texas. Yeah, and like we all sat in there. We were all having a good time. Some of us didn't even sleep. And the next day we did the rally and came back to Dallas. But
that's the tough part. Some rallies, those guys are up. Like I know Gold Rush. I heard some stories. They're up to like 5 a.m. and then 7 a.m. wheels up and they're out and they're driving 7 hours. It's
I don't know how they do it.
We did that in Nashville. So Nashville, we stayed up till late, till 5 o'clock. And shout out Max Von Brand. He's an early riser, and I roomed with him. So I was like, I was up. And at that time, I didn't train myself to wake up at like 5, 6 o'clock.
Right.
Now that I do, but like at the time, I was like, can we just sleep in till 10? And you know,
worst case scenario, just sleep in the car. You'll be fine.
I was driving, so that experience. We did Nashville. Funny story. We did Nashville, and Chris Bearden. We took his Escalade, and his fiance at the time, now they're married, Lauren Bearden. Her and Chris rode in the back seat of his Escalade. Max was in the front seat. And it got to even a point where they were so knocked out, they didn't sleep that night, the following night. They passed out on the car, and we were getting to Virginia, and they were so sound asleep. I started playing Persian music just to see if anyone would wake up. And Max woke up and he goes, "Is that Persian music?" After we listened to his Rammstein for 2 hours, they were passed out, and so I was like, "Okay, these guys are knocked out." So they finally all woke up. I was going through drive-thrus too. I mean, I was on this rally by myself. I mean, I stopped by Starbucks twice.
Oh man.
And then finally we got into Virginia. God, I mean, if you guys are listening, you're from Virginia, God bless you. We got there, and then Max is like, "Where's the aux cord?" So I don't know where the aux cord is. So I'm looking in the middle.
Right in the
and I was
glove
like,
box, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I mean, like, I don't know where it is. I'm going like 80 and a 70 at the time. And then all of a sudden I look up, it's 2-lane. I'm on the left lane. I look up, I see a state trooper.
Oh shit.
I was like, great. So I'm driving and I was like, this guy's about to pull me over. And they're like, oh no, you're good, you're fine, don't worry about it. So I get in the right lane, I see the cop car. I was like, oh, he's about to pull me over. Because he followed me when I turned over to the lane.
Yeah.
And I was like, just in case, so I can just pull over quickly. So all of a sudden, this guy, he comes right behind me, and sirens come on. Yeah. So he pulls me over. I roll the window all the way down.
Okay.
And like, let's just say this: if you could take a character off that movie State Trooper,
Okay.
that's it.
Shut
I mean,
up.
like, yeah,
Oh,
like
gosh.
a 5-foot Paul Blart State Trooper with this top hat, and it was like great. So he's like, I roll the window all the way down. He goes, roll it up a quarter. I go, okay. I didn't know it existed. So I roll it up,
Making me roll
and
up.
he puts a tint thing on it. With those tint scanners. Yeah.
Shut up.
He's like, your tint's too dark. Cars registered in Texas. I guess they have some law.
right.
So there's that. Then he goes, I need your license. Well, my license is in my backpack, which is in the trunk. So I'm 6'5". No bragging or anything, but I'm just 6'5". I get out the car. This guy is no joke, 4'11", 5 foot. I'm looking down at him, and I hit his top hat. I was like, freak. And so Max and Chris and Lauren, and this is Chris's car, who's sitting in the back seat, by the way. So I go in the back, I'm talking to him and everything like that. He gets my license. He goes in the back. He goes back in his car. I go in, and he goes, all right. Well, he's like, I'm gonna be nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, you're going 81, and he goes, I'm gonna drop it down to 79 because if you go 10 over in Virginia, it's a misdemeanor.
Shut up.
I was like, you're kidding.
Oh my god.
I was like, only Virginia.
Oh my
And he goes, I'm also giving you a ticket for your tint. Fine, I tell you, this is Chris Bearden's car, who's sitting behind me. So I get the ticket, and we are the only car that is not an exotic. That's,
Yes.
those guys who are going like 200 miles an hour
Mhm.
safely. I'm the only one that got a ticket for going 10 over because I was looking for an aux cord. So, fast forward 6 months.
But did you
I
have cruise
forgot about
control?
the ticket, huh?
Did you have cruise control?
I did. I was like, at the time, I don't know what was going on. So, like 6 months later, completely forgot about the ticket. So not only did I get a ticket for speeding, for tint, failure to appear too.
Shit. Who'd you call?
Mom. And I put it in the group chat. I was like, leave it for me to only be the guy to get a ticket. And I paid it off because I was like, okay, I have to renew my license. I totally forgot about it. And the mail kept going to my dad's house, and I moved out. I totally forgot about it. They're like, hey, there's a hold on your license. I was like, well, what state? They go Virginia. I was like, God
Oh,
dang
that
it.
ticket.
Yeah. It's like freaking Paul Blart. So,
No, I've had many of those stories. Like,
and that was a 14-hour drive, eh?
Yeah.
Like that was a 14-hour drive from
Right.
Nashville to Virginia,
right.
and
As
I
tiring
drove
as
the
that
whole
is.
way.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys slept perfectly. And then they decided to like prank me by playing like music scenes. Like it was, and this, I mean, the route that we took, it was dark and it was like going up the mountain. And it was just like, I watched The Ring when I was younger. And so I was like, I've always been scared. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to comment that I'm a wuss, go ahead.
Right.
But it was
No, I think, but those are the fun parts about
Oh,
the
yeah.
rallies. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm such and such got a ticket, or this guy did this, or the. But even in a normal life, like last week, I was driving home from work, at 2:00 in the morning, and I'm going through a tunnel, and sure enough, I see this Mustang, and they're like pulling up right next to me, and I'm just like, all right, like. It's a V6. No, like get out of my way.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't leave me alone. So I get to a light, my radar's going off. So I'm like, okay, there's a cop's around here somewhere. He's probably behind me. And sure enough, when I looked at the flash at my radar detector, it said right behind me. So what I did is I stopped like one car length behind the Mustang at the light. When he stops, he puts his car in park and starts revving.
The BMW?
The Mustang.
Oh, the Mustang, my bad.
He puts it in park and starts revving. And I'm like, what kind of moron?
He has no idea the cops behind him.
Well, not only that, why would you put your car in park to start revving? Like, just put it in neutral. So I'm there, and I had a feeling that what he wanted to do is probably just gun at the light and just like try to cut me off or something like that. And so I said, screw it. So I literally launched my car and I'm flying through. He pulls me over. The cop pulls me over.
But you knew there was a cop behind you.
I knew, yeah. So as soon as I pull over, like you said, I roll all my windows down, I turn my light on, and I put my key literally on the top of the car.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going anywhere. Trust me. So he comes up. The first question that he asked me, he said, you know I was there, right? Did you see me? I was like, yeah, my radar goes off. I was like, I knew that Mustang was there. I was like, that Mustang, I don't know what he wanted to do. That's why I took my...
Are you allowed to have a radar?
In Texas, yeah. Yeah. So then he comes back and says, he's like, well, you know, you are fast. He was like, matter of fact, you're faster than me. So I was like, yeah. I was like, that's why I just wanted to get out of his way, you know, and call it a day. I was like,
was that a Dallas cop or was it?
Yeah, it was a Dallas cop.
Dallas cops? Dallas cops pull people over.
Well, knock on wood. The way that he was protecting and serving me, making sure that I was okay, because I just smoked the Mustang at the light because they were bothering me, you know. And he came back and said, he was like, all right, he said, just slow it down and just go home. Yeah. And he said something along the lines like, hey, I have a 392 back at home. I was like, okay, I'll see you at the Yellow Belly Strip, you know. So, but that's how it is, you know. And it's those stories, those memories always come around.
No, for sure. I'll never forget that cop's look when he just looked up. I think it was just him looking up to me, and I was like,
you should probably like brought your level down.
I'd just been down or something like that. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Would you say I got a ticket for a tent?
Yeah,
$65 ticket.
And that's so damn annoying too. It's so damn annoying. Yeah, like that's your legitimate reason.
I don't mind paying for it. It was his car.
No, right? Exactly.
And it was registered in Texas. I was just like,
you should probably tell him to pay for it.
No. He's helping out a lot.
Well, good deal. Good deal. All right. Well, so what's your next move?
I think
you already talked about New York.
Yeah.
So try to get New York big, right? What's after that?
I think making a statement with Park Up Front. I think, you know, we've cruised, we've been blessed to have like where we're at right now. I think the next step is just to really let people know Park Up Front is here and make a statement with the app.
That's fair.
So we kind of just build the user base, show it to everyone, but the next steps is how do we catch people's eyes? Like looks wise, it can catch people's eyes, but how do we get it into people's hands? You know, like how can, you know, Zuckerberg had Facebook. I mean, he used it for college students. Like, and you know, he found something. So for us, we have something. It's just how can we grow it? And I think with events, that's the next step. Ultimately, is just, you know, taking over cities. So you know, event city takeover like Cars and Coffee did, but with Fueled Up. So we're gonna brand Fueled Up, and we're gonna bring it to every major city. And hopefully, you know, there's people in different cities that want to work with us. I don't see why not. And we're open to it. You know, our arms are open.
That's fair.
We just, you know, want people to download the app and get to use it like they get to use Instagram and Facebook.
Why not? No, that's cool. And I think also not only that, you guys also have tie-ins with the tracks as well here in Texas. So, for example, Coda, Crescent, you know, there's going to be a new one that's going to be opening up in McKinney.
I think there's one opening up like in Justin. So.
I heard about that too. Yeah, I mean Texas Motor Speedway by itself, you know, to host events over there, I think that would be badass for sure. It's like you said, it's just going to take everything takes time. You know,
I want to be a NASCAR driver when I grew up. I don't know why. I just like the outfits.
Yeah, there's.
I think it was the
nothing wrong
Wonder Bread.
with it. Speaking of the Red Bull event that we had here.
Yeah, that was really cool. We got to work with Harwood.
Mhm.
Big shout out to Harwood. I think an F1. It was an incredible experience.
Mhm.
Again, Tyler and Steven helped throw that event. Mostly Tyler, and man, they did such a great job. It was so well ran. I think everyone had a good time doing the laps and everything like that.
Mhm.
I mean, you saw it on every social media
Right.
platform, and
Right.
Red Bull did a great job marketing that. I mean, their marketing team is
Yeah, but
ridiculous.
to bring that event in Dallas, like that is not easy at all whatsoever. To bring an F1 car to just rip at 17, 18,000 RPMs just through the cities of Dallas, and just watching. And then all the folks that
Would you trust
attended.
yourself in that car?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Have you looked at my car?
I mean,
my car
I
can
would
only
not
do
trust
half.
myself in that car.
My car can do
half of that.
half of that.
Especially in those Dallas roads.
Yeah.
Trusting that F1 car on those
Yeah.
Dallas potholes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a Range Rover. I had a bottle. I didn't see it, and I had a bottle. I was like,
It's aggravating.
It's
It's
very
aggravating.
I could imagine those exotic car owners and what they have to deal with.
They
I'm too
gotta
big
do
for
what they
that,
gotta
so
do.
I'm like,
I mean, think about it. When Tim bought his brand new Koenigsegg, you know what? He brought it to a car event. I think it was his second day driving the car. He was trying to
Tell me
back
what
up the
a fraud.
car. Yeah, I know. He was trying to back up his car, and I think either he didn't know how to put it in reverse or something else because he was just stuck there in the middle. And then he pressed a button, the front hood opened up.
oh no. Oh my god. Did anyone get that on tape?
It wasn't on tape, but it was just
should've been,
obvious.
yeah.
I'm not trying to say anything bad, but it's
No.
dude, if it was me and if I was in that car, I wouldn't even know where the reverse button would be.
That thing,
I got it.
but there's 5 buttons, but then
Right.
it's those buttons don't really work.
Right.
But it's something separate.
Yeah, I
And
got
look,
it.
it's a spaceship.
I got it. My buddy's F12. I didn't know how to put it in reverse. I saw an R, but I was like, I thought that's race mode. So he said, "Why didn't you just put it in
Oh.
R?" So I said,
Even though there's a turn for the F12s. I mean,
does that mean that I don't deserve an exotic car?
no. I mean, if Ferrari hears this, I doubt they're gonna.
I
They're
doubt
gonna
they're
do
like,
that.
please do not sell.
They're not
my
gonna give you an
car."
allocation or anything. You're gonna be in the back of the lot.
Speaking
You're
of-
gonna be on that ban list with Justin
Oh
Bieber.
shit! Yeah, no, I think, like I said, for me, I've been looking into what car I want next. Obviously, I drive the E60 M5, probably the loudest V10 here in Dallas. I think I have that bragging right. I don't know what other V10s are louder than mine, but I know there are a lot of V12s that are loud here, for sure. But I really am thinking about either getting a GT3 or a turbo in terms of a Porsche.
My buddy Alan, when he does Gold Rush and he
Mm-hmm.
rallied his turbo, but he loves his GT3. I mean, I'm not speaking for the guy,
Mm-hmm.
good friend of mine, but
Mm-hmm.
100%, I think he's sold on the GT3. I mean, a lot of people love that car. I mean,
It's
the way
nice.
they built that car,
Right.
and I am no car enthusiast, so do not take my word.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
your
going
favorite
off-
car is a Trans Am, though.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
Yeah,
I
there you
love
go.
the Trans Am. I mean, dude, that car,
Yeah.
and it's like a couch. I mean,
Yeah.
you're driving on a couch.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think if you and Arnie sat down, because Arnie, he's more of a classic car guy. He loves the General Lee. He loves old school Blues Brothers.
I
cars,
think that's
you know?
when I started really appreciating classic cars because
Mm-hmm.
my dad's friend had the number 2 serial Trans Am.
No shit.
Yeah, and so he went to get the seats fixed on it,
Uh-huh.
and I was 15 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
15? 14 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago. And I got to drive that car, and I was like, this is so cool.
Right.
And I felt like I was in Happy Gilmore.
Right.
Not Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison.
Yeah.
And it was I was like, hell yeah, this is. And so that's when I started appreciating. Don't get me wrong. I think the Ferraris and the Lambos are all cool cars, but I just
Mhm.
have such appreciation for classic cars. And
Mhm.
back to Park Around, I think that's just what's so cool is yeah, everyone.
You got everything.
You got
But
everyone.
when you see a Trans Am at a car show, you're like, all right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. I got to go check this
The
out.
Bugatti's gonna go in the back.
Right.
The Trans Am's gonna come to the front.
Yeah, basically.
Bugatti, back up front. And then,
I mean, that guy that had the yellow Ford GT. Remember? And I think like the radiator went out and
Oh,
it brought it to
yeah,
Cantina. Like
yeah.
that's such a nostalgic car.
oh yeah,
That's such a nostalgic
sucked.
car. Yeah, I bet that sucked for him, but I think he got it fixed up pretty quickly too.
Pretty sure you're fine.
But that's like a Le Mans car. You know, you
Oh,
watch
yeah.
Ford and Ferrari, you're like, oh my God, this car was in there, you know? And I told myself, like, I would love to one day own a Ford GT.
yeah, I
You
think
know?
I mean that's
Like an old school, like,
an old school.
not necessarily just old school, but even like the 2005 and up, not the newer models, but the 05s and up that were actually manuals, you
Those
know?
seats look so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
like what
Right.
hyper supercar is not
Exactly. And the fact that it's like American, you know, supercar, you're like, heck yeah. I mean, Corvettes right now, the brand new CA Corvettes that are out, you know, those are the new supercars of the American muscle industry,
I
you
can't
know.
fit those.
Yeah, but then again, like a Camaro ZL1 1LE is badass in my personal opinion. But in terms of the German community, yeah, I mean, Audi R8s, but Porsche.
I heard Audis are one of the best cars to rally in.
Yeah,
Right.
Audi R8s for some odd reason, like
GT3s.
they found their niche in terms of making it. I mean, and what's so interesting about the Audi world and the Lamborghini world, it's almost the same platform.
Yeah.
You know, the engines are basically identical. You know, but it's just
Well, it's like what the RSQ8, the Urus.
right,
people are like,
exactly.
sick of
RSQ8 and exactly. It's like, you know, you want to.
But it's more of a statement if you pull up with the Urus than you do with the
Yeah, I mean,
RSQ8.
yeah, I'm pretty sure all the Lambo guys are, well, that's because it's a Lambo, it's not
Oh,
an
yeah.
Audi. You're like, okay, all right, fine, all right, good deal. We'll leave it at that. But
Oh,
the
yeah.
Porsches, like you said, the GT3s, GT3 RS, Turbo S, like it's such a really interesting design by
Yeah.
Porsche, you know. Now, I know a lot of the folks that have the Turbo S's are more fan of the Turbo S's than they are the GT3s. I just don't know if a Turbo S would be an everyday car that you would want to maybe drive versus a GT3. I think a GT3 is like more of a, you can do
You
everything with
daily
that
it,
car.
stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that,
can
so-
daily it, you can track it.
I
you
mean,
know.
from what I've heard, just the way everything was built, like I said earlier, it's just they love it. Like every Porsche driver right now, like
Mhm.
loves the GT3. So,
That's what we all hear. It's
but I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, they got the GT4 RS, and they got
yeah,
the
and the
GT3
GT4
coming,
RS.
so-
Yeah, the GT4. I mean, it's a smaller version, but
Mhm.
it's almost the same thing. But I think a lot of people that want to track their cars would be more happier than with the GT4 RS
Yeah,
than the GT3 because it's smaller and you
Smaller,
can handle it. You know. But yeah, if I could get my hands on a GT3, I think I'd be a happy camper too. So we'll see. But other than that, it was great having you on the
I
show.
appreciate you for having
Yeah, park up front. You know,
Awesome.
showing up.
download the app, subscribe, and make sure you know check out what events are in your local area and tell a friend.
Promote, basically.
Hey, word of mouth.
All right, guys.
I
We're going to
appreciate
be
that.
signing out. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Max.